This is the sixth tutorial in the Numpy series. In this video, we're going to learn about the Numpy conditions which are useful in exploratory data analysis. So what is basically exploratory data analysis? Exploratory data analysis is something you'll know and you'll use it in the data science or whether in machine learning or in deep learning. So basically in EDA or exploratory data analysis, we just explore and we read about the data and we gain all the information about the data so that we can perform some feature engineering and some machine learning models and prediction on it. So let's get started with the Numpy conditions. So the first one is, as you've seen that I've already declared some list and I've already converted into an array. So the first condition it is a basic one, but the first step. So the first condition is like you can define that array which is less than 2, array any elements which is less than 2. So if I run it, so it will give me a boolean result, it true or false. So it shows me a boolean array result which has all the values as false, where the array element is less than 2. So 2, 3, 4 and 5, they are less than 2, so it's showing me false, and for 1 it's showing me true. So and also you can perform something like multiplication, like for multiplying all the array elements with 2. So if you run it, then it successfully multiplied all the array elements with 2. So these are the first two conditions which you can use. And now if you want to just retrieve the array for the given condition, so the array of elements for the given condition, so you can just declare array, the variable name, and again in which you have to define the condition. So if you run it, so yes, so you got an array of one element, because the array where the array element which is greater than 2 is only 1, which is 1. So you got it 1. And now if you say, if you want to if you just want to say that which array element is, let's say, is greater than 2, so if you run it, so you'll get 3, 4 and 5. So like this, these are the conditions which you can use. Now let's talk about more creating of arrays and using reshape function. So in the previous videos I said that you can simply create an array just using the arrange function. So I'll just create one. So array1 is equals to np dot arrange, and I'll say that I want values between 0, 10 and 0, 10 and not giving any step, and this will create an array, a single dimensional array for me. So if you run it, then if I call the array1, then you'll see that a single dimension array of elements between 0 to 10 has been successfully created. Now if I want to use the reshape function with it, say that I want to reshape this array in, let's say, 5, 2, which has an I want to reshape this initial array into a new array which has 5 rows and 2 columns. So I'll just say a1.reshape. It's simple, 5, 2. Now if you run it, then you can see that it's been created, new array has been created which has 5 rows and 2 columns. So you can just call it here also with the reshape function just after the arrange 5, 2, and here let me just run it. First let me just, so I'll run it and just let me run this. So you'll see that a new array has been created. So now if I call again the array1, so you'll see that the result is same. So what I did is basically I just joined two functions together here. So like np.arrange, this will create an single dimensional array, and this will convert into a reshape. This will convert into a new array which has 5 rows and 2 columns using the reshape function. So the array 1 has been calculated, created, and now I'll create another array for just showing you some mathematical process in it. So I'll create just like it. I'll create a new array. I'll just copy it and I'll rename it as array 2, and I'll just create, I'll say that it should have 2 rows and let's say 5 columns. If I run it, so an array 2 has been successfully created. If you check it, yes, array 2 has been successfully created, which has 2 rows and 5 columns. Now if I want to, let's say I want to multiply both the arrays, so I'll say array 1 into array 2. So if I run it, okay, there's this error showing. Okay, they have yes, they have the dimensionality is not the same, which means that if you know the rule of matrix, basically what is this? This is a type of matrix. This is a type of matrix. So what matrix property says that the number of rows in the first column has to be same for the number of rows in the second column. Let's just make me sure. Yes, that's a condition for it, that number of rows in the first column has to be same in the first matrix has to be same for the number of rows in the second matrix. So if I just change it, from 5,2, and let me just to make it a different matrix, let me just say that I want a matrix between let's say 11 to 20. So if I just change it, cannot reshape arrays of 9 into, okay, so yeah, I've just 10 to 20. Yes, so the error was showing because I was in the reshape function there were 10 elements present there, and in this arrange function there were only 9 elements present if I do from 11 to 20. So yeah, successfully created an array. Let me just refresh it. Yes, and it successfully created a new array which has elements between 10 and 20. So now if I run array 1 into array 2, so yeah, it successfully multiplied the array 1 and array 2, 0, 11, 24, 39, and like vice versa. So if I you can use some more mathematical properties, like if I say that array 1, let's say divide by 2, divide by array 2, if I run it, so it just divided the array. So this one's the answer. So yes, you can use some more array operations, mathematical operations if you want. So now let's just talk about the more creating arrays. So there's a function called ones. So let me just say it, call it np.ones 4. I'll explain. So yeah, so this ones, what it does is it creates an array which has all the elements in it values equals to 1. So if I shift tab, so yeah, return a new array of given shape and type filled with ones. So data type is equals to none. So I haven't defined the data type. I've only just said that I want an array, a single dimensional array which has 4 elements in it, and the data type is by default float. So if I say the type is equals to int, so yes, the decimal position is gone. So it will now give me a new array which has a data type of int. So now let's just create one's array, one's multi-dimensional array. So if I say np.ones, and if I just say 4,2, or let's say 4,2, and data type, just not defining data type. If I run it, yeah, it created array of ones which has the shape of 4 comma 2, 4 rows and 2 columns. So if I just data type of float, if I run it, so it's given me for, oh I forgot, it was default float, and if I do int, it'll give me an array of int. So that's how you create an array which has using ones function. So now let's just talk about the normal distribution. So normal distribution. So in the normal distribution, basically, I hope normal distribution. Yes. So in the normal distribution, we have many functions. The main function is random. So normal distribution, or you can just call it a random distribution. So in the random distribution, basically is used to give the random values between any given shape or any given shape. So for creating one, I'll just say np dot random. This random is present inside the np. So I'll say random dot rand, and I'll just define the shape 3,3. It will give me an array which has 3 rows and 3 columns. So what does this rand means? Random means np.random, I hope it's clear to you. np.random means that it creates an array of random. So what does this rand mean? So this rand basically is it means that the new array which has to be created, it follows the rules of the normal distribution, which means that all the outcomes, they are likely equal, and the probability of each of the variable to be the outcome is even, or is equal. So if I just shift tab, and if I just say like this, yes, this is a convenience function for user supporting create an array of the shape and populate it with the random samples from a uniform distribution over 0. It includes 0, but it doesn't include 1 because we have the round brackets. So yeah, between 0 and 1. I hope this rand is clear to you. So now there's one more function called randn. So let me just call it random dot randn. So randn. So basically, it follows the same. It has the same variable, like variable options, like you have to just give the shape 4,4, let's say 4,4, and if I press the alt enter, it'll create me a variable, an array which has 4 rows and 4 columns. So what this basically is randn. So randn basically, as rand follows this rand function, this follows the uniform distribution, but this randn follows the standard normal distribution. So I hope standard normal distribution is known to you, or you have some knowledge on it. If you don't, I'll tell you what in a brief what standard normal distribution is. It basically means that standard normal distribution means that it has a curve in which the mean of the curve is 0, and the standard deviation of the curve is 1. So it has they both are fixed. So that's why it's called the standard normal distribution. And there's a mathematical operation called z-score. So the z-score of standard normal distribution is equals to the observed value minus mean upon standard deviation. So that's the that's not we'll cover it here. I'll cover the standard normal distribution and many more thing in the pandas, when I'll explain what are the properties of pandas, and I'll explain basically there'll be a whole playlist on it. So I'll cover the standard normal distribution and the normal distribution and the uniform distribution in it. So if I just press shift tab in it, so I'll just say see that return a sample or samples from the standard normal distribution. So if positive int like argument are provided, Gaussian distribution will mean 0, variance 1, and a single float randomly seen from the distribution is returned if no argument is provided. You have to note that a single float randomly sampled from the distribution is returned if no argument is provided. So it returns a float variable or the float array. So this was about the random and the rand. Now let's just say that first let me just store it in some kind of array. So if I'll say array is equals to array3, then I'll run it and then run it and then if I'll just say that array4 is equals to this, and if I run it again, they both are created. If I call array3 and alt enter and array4 enter. So now let's just say that I want to plot these both arrays using the Seaborn, using the Seaborn. So what basically is Seaborn? So Seaborn basically it is something like matplotlib, which means that it is used for plotting arrays on the graph. But it is a more convenient way. It is in a more convenient way. So they plot graphs, arrays on graphs in a more convenient way. So let me import Simon as SNS. And there's one more thing that for plotting arrays on Seaborn, first you have to convert those arrays into data frame. So I'll import pandas for it. So just don't worry about the pandas in the Seaborn. It's just for showing that how can we plot. It's just in a summary way, and I'll cover both of them in my next tutorial, in my panda tutorial, where I'll explain why pandas are used or what and the Seaborn are used. So I'll say import pandas as PD, shift enter. So yes, it will take some time. Yeah, it is successfully imported. So now let me just say that I want to plot like SNS, SNS I'm calling the Seaborn dot displot. Displot basically means that it is a distribution plot. I'll just convert the data. I'll say data frame. I'm just converting the array into a new into a data frame, and I'll just say that this array4, I'll call the array4 and I'll reshape it. Okay, so I'll just reshape it in a new array. Let's just say 4,4. Then I'll just say for 16 I'll just say yes. I don't think we need to reshape it. So if I just say dot reshape into 16,1, so if I just enter, yeah. So here you can see, guys, that it basically creates a normal distribution plot using the Seaborn. It's not the perfect normal distribution plot, but yeah, it is a normal distribution plot. Just don't if you're not understanding here, guys, just understand these things, guys. This is a part of Numpy, and if you don't understand pd.data frame or SNS.plot or any of the Seaborn or pandas concept, yeah, so I'll just don't worry about it. I'll just cover it in my next tutorial on playlist of pandas. So yeah, so this one was for the pandas and converting it into a data frame and then reshaping it and then plotting it. So this that was just showing you that how a distribution plot looks like. So there's one more function in the random called randint, so which is used to create an array. This call random dot randint, and I'll just say that 100 and 8. So what does this basically means? Randint means that I'm giving a start value and the end value and I'm saying that I want eight values between them. So I'm saying that between 0 to 100 give me eight random values. So the main reason behind using the random is basically it basically we can give some higher integer values in it. So we can just give 1000 or something like that. So high integer values, which is not possible, which will create some error if we do it in random or arrand after some variables. So if I'll just say alt enter, so it will give me 8 random values between 0 to 100, and it basically changes every time. Whenever I print control enter, it changes every time. So now say if I want to reshape to look it more better, I can say that 4 comma 2, because there are 8 values present in it. So I'll just shift enter, control enter, and you will see that it has given me a random integer array of shape 4 comma 2, which means that 8 elements are present in it. This one more last function, guys. I know this video is getting longer a bit, but it was a very important video lecture for you guys, because I covered so many points in it, so many numpy conditions in it. So the last random function is np dot random random sample. I'll just it follows the same rule in it, 1 comma 5. If I press alt enter, it will give me a random array of float which has of shape 1 comma 5. So that's what it is. So if you want to know more, then I'll just press shift enter and say else. It says that return random float in the half open interval 0.0 and 1.0. So basically this one is not really written in it. So the other values are like the size, the default value of size is none, and the output is a float or nd or array of floats. So the output is always float. So that was it, guys. So that was all about numpy and the basics of numpy for you guys. I hope you all liked this playlist and you all liked what I taught you here. So it was basically some important things to cover. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and to share it if you found it more knowledgeable to share. So please share it, and just meet you in the next playlist of pandas. So till then, goodbye, take care, and have a day.